Okay, the episode opened up with the father and the cannon mob going to war. Bodies are dropping. The Smutney funeral home is swamped. And this is the aftermath of when Cannon came down to the father's home and shot and killed their mom and sister. Orietta is giving at the writer a revengeful stare as she walks to her apartment after Rita sitting on her step. And we see Otis, he picked his side with Cannon because it's a raid happening at the Fada family place. Okay, now over to Lloyd, and Bill is cutting his hair, and they are discussing a meeting with a potential ally. Lloyd is saying, well, what if he want this all for himself? Bill was like, now what would a country guy want with all this, the trouble? As Bill is cutting Lloyd's hair, he tenses up like, ooh. And Bill said, now, how long I've been cutting your hair? And have I ever cut you? I thought this scene gave us another sense of Bill. Like we see her as Mama Bear and how she was about to go off on Lloyd for her son for Lemuel getting arrested. And how she was rushing to his aid, but also it gives us, what type of wife she is to her husband, Lloyd. How does she aid him in his criminal enterprise? Not that she's hands on anything, but there's the advice that she give him, how she nurture her husband and show her support. And when she asked Lloyd, have I ever cut you? And he said, no. This is my wife. She loves me. She always been there for me. She never dare hurt me, and I can trust her. At the meeting, we have Lloyd, Bill, and we finally meet the infamous Happy, Leon's cousin. Happy is a character. He has his goons carrying photos of his ancestors, which maybe is his father, then his grandfather. And his goon is holding these photos in a frame right next to Happy. Lloyd starts the conversation off with apologizing for whipping Leon's ass like he was a child. And Happy wasn't happy about that. He said, my cousin, my problem. You should have contacted me. Lloyd said, you know what? You're right. It's no excuse. Then Happy asked Lloyd about him losing a war. Lloyd said, you always losing until you win. Happy said, we always mind our forefathers and take stock in their wisdom. And they not happy with you. And Lloyd was like, who not happy with me? Happy said, the fathers, the grandfathers, all the way down to the slave grandfathers. So Lloyd said, well, so what? I'm supposed to be born at the bottom and stay at the bottom? Happy goes on to say, if your picture is in the paper, do you think that just represents you just because it's your picture in the paper? That represents every black man on here. And they don't care which black man they get, long as it's a black man. You around here starting trouble and moving a certain type of way, and that affects us all. Bill was like, look, Happy, we need your help. We a family. So Happy's like, no, we ain't family. Bill said, our sisters was like sisters. Our kids is family, your family. His wife is your family. So that makes him your family. So Happy like, shit, I got a cousin on death row. Should I go sit behind him when it's time for him to get electrocuted? Should I sit next to him too? So Lloyd is like, look, I need leverage, something short term, just a little muscle. Happy like, that's some Costa Nostra shit. This ain't no podunk thuggery. What you think you gonna do? Just run him out of town? Happy thinks that Lloyd is getting above himself, like he doing too much. Black people can never just stick together. At least, the Italians, they be having a chain nationwide. I'm just saying, if we stuck together like that, we can do better. Lloyd like, no, I'm not trying to run them out of town. Just make them stay in their place. You got all the slaughter boys on your side, and you got some cousins from Texas smuggling from Oklahoma. Happy says, shit, you making it seem like I'm the motherfucking nigga. Lloyd is now frustrated. He was like, this was a mistake. Bill said, Lionel Hardaway, stop it. All this bullshit doesn't matter whether you think we should or we shouldn't be at war. All that matters is we are at war right now. They killed my baby boy who was only 9 years old. What did he ever do to anybody? He was innocent. Now they want to snuff us out of everything. And when they do come snuff us out, and string me up, who do you think they coming for next? That's a good point Bill made, because like Happy said, you think just because it's your photo in the picture that they only coming for you? So it's the same situation. You're over there getting money, doing things like this way. So after they hang Lloyd, what do you think they're going to come do to you? They're going to do you the same way. So Happy goes over and he consults with his ancestors. And he looking. Then he said, all right, 2 weeks I'll back you, but you got to make things right with my cousin. Happy leaves Buell and Lloyd sitting there, and Lloyd like, just 2 weeks? So Buell like, fuck that, that's enough time. I want justice for my boy, then we can make other deals for everything else. But this right now, this is war. Somebody gonna pay for killing my boy. Okay, next. Over at the police station, Otis is the man. He gets a standing ovation when he come walking through the door. And this comes from the authorities thinking that Twitchy killed Swanee for killing the marshal. So the captain personally comes over and congratulates Otis for making the paper. He asks Otis, "Are you watching your back?" And Otis said, "Why would you ask me that?" He said, "Because when you bite the hand that feeds you, it's gonna come back to burn." Sure enough, when he said that, who's ringing on the line? Justo. Otis answers the phone and Justo like, "Yeah, I have a bullet right with your name on it. I thought you would want to personally pick this up." Otis said, "I'm sorry, I'm not accepting no gifts from chain gangs." Justo said, "I miss you when you coming home," because Justo don't have no one in the law field when you're moving at this caliber, you're going to need somebody in the legal field to help you to move the way you need to move in the streets. And he no longer have that. And Otis like, "I'm home." I think Otis has his, he's trying to get his thing together now. He's trying to pick a side, stand up like a man, pick a side, do the right thing. And you can't just do this all the time. It's going to come back to bite him in the ass. Like the captain told him, you can't bite the hand that feeds you because it's going to come back to burn you. Justo threatens to put a paper trail and give it to the mayor, outing Otis. Otis does not care because the whole fucking team is like that. Like the captain even gave him that advice. And it wasn't on no shit like, we know and we about to take you down. No, they're going to cover for each other. They are a gang within themselves. So Otis can give a fuck, and he hung up on Justo. And that takes us over to Justo. Justo is pissed, and he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slamming the phone receiver against the phone. Justo is fired up now, so he busts in the room, charging over at E-Ball, talking about, we need a new policeman. E-Ball done had a fucking enough of them. He is like, boss, look, New York said this shit gotta stop. It's too noisy, it's too messy. So Justo like, oh, excuse the fuck out of me if me staying alive is keeping motherfuckers up at night. Gaetano comes over and he says, chill, chill, bro, chill. How many people have we killed? And how many people have we lost? He said, this is war and it's not good for business. You making this personal and you can't make this personal. And Gaetano is correct. Like I said, you can't reap all the benefits of the game, but when it's wartime, you get emotional. You're taking it personal, which brings out different emotions and make you react, and it's not good for the bottom line business. The minute you take it personal, you will start to lose because you're doing things out of emotions and you're not strategizing clearly. Justo comes a bit and he said, we need another Mullion. Someone who think they strong, but they weak. A replacement for Cannon and someone who will take Cannon down. Now, like I said earlier, if we was to stick together, if Happy was to aid Lloyd and be loyal to him, we would be stronger sticking together. But they already know how our culture don't stick together. So they like, okay, find another black person to take Cannon down. Gaetano asked Justo, like, what you want to do about the rat fuck cop? Justo said, kill him. Nobody turn their back on us and get away with it. Okay, next we see Satchel, and Satchel is just a walk-in, and he's surviving. We see that he swipes some milk from off the porch, and him and Rabbit is just walking. Where they walking to, we don't know. And next we see Ethelrida, and she's doing research she's connecting things to Orietta, different cases that, was mysterious, and how they are connected to Orietta. Now we have Ethelrida sitting on the porch. Ethelrida asks her mom, do you think Aunt Zelmir is okay? And the bro like, it ain't a hole that Zelmir can't dig herself up out of. Ethelrida said, are we really cursed? The bro takes a deep breath and she has the conversation. She tells Ethelrida her great-great-grandfather was on a ship, a slave ship, with an evil captain named Theodore Roach. One night it was a terrible storm, and Theodore Roach got knocked over by a big wave. And her great-great-grandfather grabbed him and he choked the life out of him, killing him. She goes on to tell Ethelrida that her grandmother was 6 years old. That Ethelrida's grandmother, the Brow's mother, was 6 when she first saw the roach. Eyes sewn shut and a wooden nose. And since then, he'd been in the family. The Brow says she smells the roach more than she sees him, and smells like low tides and creaking ropes. And so Ethelrida was like, the waves too? And that confirms to the Brow that the roach now follows Ethelrida around. Ethelrida asks her mother, like, can't we just cast him away? The Brow tells Ethelrida, like, well, Zelmir tried to take him, but he's not her type. So Ethelrida said, well, what does he like? And the Brow says sunshine. And Ethelrida is the sunshine of her family. Lemuel comes out on the porch interrupting, and the Brow reminds him, like, you better not come too close to my daughter. I got a shotgun. But she leaves them outside to talk. Here goes Lemuel trying to shoot his shot with Ethelrida, talking about music. Maybe if you talk about something else, Lemuel, she'll be interested. Switch it up for a chance, Anyway, Ethelrida cut that shit short. She like, look, I want to talk to your father. Yeah, you heard me. I want to talk to your father. Can you set that up? And here come Orietta, slew-footing her ass across the street towards Ethelrida. Ethelrida tells Lemuel, don't let her get to me. Orietta like, Ethelrida, we need to talk. Ethelrida like, I don't got shit to talk to you about. Orietta said, okay, you want to do this in front of your boyfriend? So Lemuel like, no, I'm more like a suitor. I'm like, oh, that was nice, Lemuel. Orietta said, okay, you want to do this out here in front of him? Orietta went to grab Ethelrida, but Lemuel was in the middle. And Orietta is screaming, give me my ring back. You lucky I don't call the police. So Ethelrida like, go ahead and call him. I'm going to tell him what I seen up there. Talking about her death shrine and all the poisonings and evidence she got up there in that little closet. And Ethelrida like, I can tell them about your little death pie. So Orietta like, oh yeah, who gonna believe you? So Lemuel said, I'll be a witness to it. Orietta said, who that counts? Orietta like, it's a place in hell for people like you. Ethelrida said, is that above or below the place you going? Orietta goes low and she like, it's a word for people like you. So Orietta said, no, it's not. That word was invented by people like you, but that's not what I am. Lemuel like, it's time for you to fucking walk away, bitch. So Orietta said, I'll see you in your dreams. Okay, back over to Justo. Justo is having a meeting with Leon and Happy motherfucking ass. At first I'm thinking, okay, Happy gonna do some slick shit. He about to bust down on the Fodder family for Lloyd. And then I thought about it. I said, well, what would he benefit going straight to the head? He's just behind. He's just the muscle behind Lloyd. Happy get to talking that, yeah, Leon is going to take control of Lloyd's place and that's going to be his operation. And Ebal say, well, you know what you got to do to do that, right? To get that position, right? I said, oh, fuck. They done crossed Lloyd. And Leon bitch ass like, I'm just mad you can't kill him twice. Well, why you ain't kill him once when he beat your ass like a little boy? Where was this energy at? Also, did you see Happy's goon with the ancestors? This man is something else. But as they're discussing this, Mr. Gillis busts in the room. Mr. Gillis said, what the hell is this hidey-ho bullshit here? He was being a racist asshole because Happy and Leon was there with the goon and the ancestors. Mr. Gillis like, I need to talk to you right now. Justo steps out the room to see what Mr. Gillis wants. So Mr. Gillis said, this motherfucker wedding is off. Your public enemy number one. They running you and these greasy wops up out of here. Gaetano said, what is this wops he's talking about? Justo said, nothing. He just ignorant as a motherfucker. Justo is trying to convince this man to still marry his daughter. The man is like, look, you and your motherfucking people, they chasing y'all out of here on the first thing smoking. This man is trying to become mayor. He already was side-eyeing Justo, but he cannot be associated with Justo being in the papers for murder, shady business deals, and he trying to become mayor. Absolutely not. He told Justo that he trying to get the fuck away from him fast. Gaetano got tired of Mr. Gillis' disrespect, and he punched his ass in the face. Mr. Gillis was like, I'm an alderman. You can't hit an alderman. Well, I guess you can. Okay, next up we have Lloyd. And he's just staring out the window. And his boy, Opal, comes in the room. And Lloyd doesn't even turn around to acknowledge him. But he hears his voice and he said, oh, you still alive? Which further lets me know that Lloyd is carrying a lot of shit on his shoulders. Like at this point, he may feel numb. We hear that Lloyd has not heard from Otis either. And Otis is probably avoiding Lloyd as well because, like I said, he's probably at the point where he's ready to walk a straight line. He's done with this street shit. Also, I don't think he wants to tell I don't think Otis want to tell Lloyd that Zelmir got away. So Lloyd asks about some friends, and I wasn't sure if he was talking about Happy or some other people that he may have thought he had for allies. And Opal's like, I haven't heard from him. I guess they laying low to see what happens. And Lloyd like, shit, they like rats fleeing the ship. This war is weighing on Lloyd, and he feels like everything is closing in on him now. Opal says, boss, one of our guys was on the lookout today, and they seen that the Italians had a visitor, and it was Leon. Lloyd said, well, a skunk is going to skunk. Opal said Happy was with him. Lloyd doesn't even acknowledge what Opal just told him. He goes on a story about how Buell gave birth to Satchel and how amazed he was that what she did. And he said, even on my best day, I'm not half as tough as that. And today is not my best day. And we see that this is, definitely not Lloyd's. Okay, next up we have Satchel, and I hope he's trying to find his way back home to Kansas. Anywho, he runs into some trouble. He's walking down the road, and him and Rabbit and, two white guys pull up in a truck, and they was being racist. And they was like, what, boy, you can't hear me? So, Satchel got himself a gun, so he about that business now. Honey, Satchel whipped that gun out, and he pointed at them, and he was like, look, no you, no boy, no do everything you told, no everything. And I was a bit confused about this, so I don't know if it's Satchel acting or I don't know what the hell he was talking about. No to what? Was Satchel feeling like he's tired of everyone bossing him around? I was a bit confused on that. But anyway, that pistol shut them the fuck up. They ain't expect that little boy to come out with that gun, and they got the trucking up the road, going about their business, which they should have did in the first place. Okay, now we have Otis, and he's getting off from work, and as he's leaving out his work building, He peeps out the window and he sees Cannon. It looks like it's Cannon goons out there waiting for him. And we hear Cannon in his ear. He's thinking about what Cannon told him, what Josto told him. And it's just a bit much. And he like, I'm not doing this. So he get his co-workers to drop him off home. Now, as Otis is on his way home, we go over to Josto and Gaetano, who's waiting for Otis at his house. And one of the goons said, look, he not in there, but I left him a gift for when he get up there. And so they like, he not up there, his car out there. So come to find out, Otis had got picked up and dropped off today. And Josto and Gaetano stays behind and they wait for Otis to come home. Otis is on his way home inside his co-worker's car, and he's in the back of the car and everything is going through his head. He is getting nervous. He's starting that twitchy stuff, that 1, 2, 3 little Indian things. But my thing is, Otis, what did you expect? What did you think was going to happen? And why are you going home? Anyway, while he's driving home, Gaetano and Josto is still out there waiting for him. And Gaetano tells a story about, what got him sent to Italy. Basically, him and this big titty girl that he liked that was around his age, they got to messing around kissing. The girl father comes through the window. He breaks the window and he grabs Gaetano. So his daughter's trying to get him off of Gaetano because he had a grip on him. So Gaetano makes his way over to the broken glass and stabs the man in his eye. And that's what got him sent back home to Italy. Gaetano also tells Josto about the things he experienced during Italy. He was saying it was all good until the war came and the people in the black jackets, they were winning and they got chased out. And he ran into a forest where he was there all by himself for a while. And he only ate tree bark and how he had to use the dead man's shoes. And so Josto like, look, all that's over. You here now. He gave his brother a hug and they back on good terms. I wish that they could have been like this from the start and maybe they could have went farther. Maybe they could have made better decisions. And I'm starting to understand Gaetano. I used to hate Gaetano, but I understand him now. Like, he always been about his family and his business, and I can't get mad at that. But in the beginning, he was a straight asshole. Okay, Twitchy finally makes it home, and his place is fucked up. He also finds a drawing of his dead fiance with the eyes missing. So Twitchy is on go. He ran down the steps out to his car, and he noticed when he get in the car that he sees a car in front of him, and he figured that was for them, and he's just reaching for his keys, his gun. I mean, he's dropping stuff, and his gun fell out the crack. And I'm thinking, like, all this time, you're doing all this dropping and fiddling with your keys. Man, I would have been out of there. I would have turned that key in that ignition, and I would have ran them down. Even if I wouldn't have lived, I mean, somebody would have been fucked up too. So as Twitchy is just twitching and fumbling with the keys and dropping the gun, he hears his dead fiance's voice, her singing voice when she used to sing to him. And he just dazed into that. And sure enough, Gaetano comes over there and pop, 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 blow his motherfucking brains out. And Otis is dead with a smile on his face. So Gaetano kills him and, he's walking back to the car. This fat motherfucker going to trip and fall. And when he fell, the gun goes off and shoot him right in the head, blowing his brains out. His brain matter is all over the streets now. Josto like, oh my fucking God, what the fuck just happened? Josto hears the sirens. He gets in his car, leaves Gaetano out there bleeding in the street, and he just drives away. That's a big mistake, Josto, because New York is already on his ass. And the things that he been doing, and how him and Gaetano been beefing, they going to think that Josto purposely killed his brother. Okay, over at the Smutneys, everyone's asleep. And I thought it was the ghost at first. Then I'm like, hell no, this is Orietta. This is Orietta. Sure enough, it was Orietta ass. And she's going towards Arthurita with a syringe of poisoning, and she thinks she about to end at the writer. And we see the ghost Roach, and he scares the shit out of fucking Arthurita, who has her flying down the screaming and flying down the steps across the street to her house, where she finds a police raid in her house. The detective like, Miss Mayflower, you need to get your things and come with us. Not get your things, but you need to come with us. And she like, for what? She was like, they said he woke up. Dr. Harvard woke up and he told us everything. Then Orietta asked, can she go get her purse? She's like, let me go get my purse. And they grabbed her ass and trying to put the handcuffs on her. She like, call the police. And they're like, man, we are the police. As they're putting Orietta in the police car, we see the Smutnies out there looking, getting a view of everything that's going on. Okay, on to our meeting with Ethelreda and Lloyd. We see Ethelreda blossom into this beautiful young lady. Her hair is different, and I don't care what y'all say, because I was saying I don't know no little girl in the 1950s, because yes, I seen pictures of the 1950s prom, and I have not seen no girl with no 2 ponytails in their hair and a bang. But Ethelreda got her little curl and tuck and her little swoop on the side and a nice suit, and she's ready to talk business with Lloyd. Ethelreda thanks Lloyd for meeting up with her, giving her the time. And Lloyd like, my boy set this up, but I don't care what you come here for, honey. That house is mine. That business is mine. Ethelreda noticed a French painting in Lloyd's office, and she recites the painting in French. Lloyd like, huh? Ethelreda says, your painting is by Henri Renault. She tells Lloyd about the artist, and she's like, that's not the original. Lloyd said, yeah, I know. I had a cat I know make me a copy. It was supposed to make me look like a bad motherfucker. Now, what you say it's called? Ethelreda said it's called The Summary of the Under the Moorish Kings of Granada. Lloyd is very impressed by Ethelreda, and Ethelreda is very impressionable. So Lloyd like, you want that house back, don't you? They done sent that little girl down here to get that house back. Ethelreda like, I came to tell you they earned it. The original loan was only for $3,200. Spread out over 6 months, that's $6,200. So Lloyd like, they stole from me. And Ethelreda said, with all monies returned. And being as so that you didn't kill them, I'm assuming that you thought the payback would be monetary, a fine. Lloyd said, well, I took their house. Ethelreda said, you say the house is yours, but the deed is still in their name. They still pay the taxes on the house. So Lloyd going to say, did they send you a girl down here for a sympathy factor? So Ethelreda said, that's what you see, a girl? What girl speaks 2 languages and study French art? She's like, this is my doing. I came to right this wrong. Lloyd like, no, we don't do that here. Ethelreda said, you in a war and you lost 27 men. So Lloyd like, nah, round 27. She said, no, exactly 27. 27 men shot or stabbed, requiring the help of a licensed mortician. And here's a document of a receipt of $8,700 worth of work. Lloyd like, that's not how it worked. Ethelreda continued, she said $8,700 in agreed upon services. And plus this. And then she placed the ring on his desk. So he like, you can get about $500 at the pawn shop. Like, and what does that even matter? Because like I told you, it don't work like this. Ethelreda said, shit, I ain't tell you the part that makes it priceless yet. Ethelreda goes on to tell Lloyd about Orietta's shrine and how she kills people for a living. So Lloyd like, okay, well, what does that have to do with me? So Orietta said, well, that ring had me curious. So I went down to the library and did my research. And she stops and she says, I want you to give my folks their house back and their business and all debts paid. So Lloyd like, and why would I do that? And Ethelreda said, because I'm going to help you win this war. Lloyd said, shit, if you can do that, you can have whatever you want. So Ethelreda said, swear. And he swear. Ethelreda slides Lloyd the newspaper clipping of Donatella Fada, his obituary. And the ring that he's wearing in the picture is the ring that's on Lloyd's desk. So Lloyd is looking like, yes, this is leverage for him to put it out there that Shasto had his twisted lover murder his father. To the bosses in New York, this could look very bad for Jasto. They can think that he killed his father so Jasto can gain his father's position as boss. So it appears that a deal it is. And that's where the episode ends. This was one of my favorite episodes. I wanted to talk about the ghost, Roach. I think he protects their family because it seems like no harm comes to the Smutney family when the ghost is around, but anybody else, when they see the ghost, it's like too late. They're about to die or they're dying, except for the Smutneys, at least the women. Rita is my girl. I love her, and I knew that she was going to get that house back when she met up with Lloyd. It was only a matter of time. Okay, that's it for this episode, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.